Does the world ever just feel chaotic? Unpredictable? Yeah, you're definitely not alone in that. But here's a thought. What if the secret to navigating all this craziness isn't about changing the world out there, but about mastering the world in here? That's exactly what we're digging into today. We're going to look at a powerful guide to resilience, and it's all inspired by the incredible wisdom of Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the unimaginable. So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to put a name to that feeling of chaos we all know. Then, we'll dive into just three core ideas from Frankl's work, all about choice, adversity, and action. And to wrap it all up, we'll pull everything together into a super practical guide for building meaning in your own life. All right, let's jump right in. We've got to start by talking about that feeling, right? That sense that life is just more challenging, more all over the place than it used to be. Well, it turns out there's actually a word for this, a framework that nails what this modern environment feels like. And that word is VUCA. It's an acronym, stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Now, this term wasn't invented for our daily lives. It was originally used to talk about the post-Cold War world. But man, does it fit our reality now or what? It's that constant feeling that everything's in flux and you have no idea what's coming next. The path forward is, well, it's fuzzy at best. So the big question is, how in the world do you navigate that? This is where having a sense of purpose becomes, well, everything. It's so easy to get sucked into the day-to-day chaos, right? Just reacting to whatever fire pops up. But having a real sense of meaning, that's like having an internal compass. It keeps you pointed in the right direction, your own personal North Star, even when everything around you is a total storm. And this brings us to probably the biggest mindset shift of all. We tend to think of meaning as something we have to go out and find, like it's a treasure hunt. But Viktor Frankl's big idea turns that completely on its head. He says meaning isn't something you find, it's something you build. You create it. We're not just passengers getting tossed around by life, we are the architects. We build our own strength. Okay, so if we're the architects, where do we lay the first brick? What's the foundation? According to Frankl, it all starts with one core idea, our freedom to choose. And this isn't about some big external choice. It all starts with a decision that happens right between your ears. And this quote, this really gets to the heart of everything Frankl learned. You have to remember, he figured this out in the most horrific place imaginable, a concentration camp. He saw that they could take literally everything from a person, their home, their family, their dignity. But there was one thing, one single thing they could never ever touch. His ability to choose how he responded to it all. That power, the freedom to choose your own attitude, that was his. And nobody could take it away. And that idea isn't just some high-minded philosophy. It's incredibly practical for us right now. The moment you consciously decide how you're going to react to something tough, you take your power back. You stop being just a pinball, bouncing off of whatever happens to you, and you start becoming the one shaping your own experience. That's where resilience is born, in that tiny little gap between stimulus and response. So that freedom to choose, it naturally leads us to the second big idea. Because if we can choose our response, well, what does that mean for the hard stuff, for adversity, for suffering? It means they don't just have to be bad things we endure. They can actually become something else, a catalyst, the very thing that helps us grow. This is such a deep insight. Frankl isn't saying, just think positive and the pain goes away. Not at all. He's saying the experience itself changes the second we find a meaning in it. The difficulty might still be there, sure, but it's no longer this pointless, destructive thing. Instead, it becomes a teacher. It has a purpose. And that's the mental flip we have to make. We go from being a passive victim of hardship to someone who actively engages with it. We start asking different questions. Instead of why is this happening to me, we ask, what is this situation asking of me? Or how can this challenge make me stronger? And just by asking that, you've reframed the whole thing. It's not just an obstacle anymore, it's an opportunity. Okay, so we've got our freedom to choose our attitude. We've got the power to reframe challenges. But the third and final piece of the puzzle is what makes it all stick. It's what makes it real. Because meaning isn't just an idea in your head. It's something you have to build, day by day, through your actions. And this quote, wow, it just completely flips our modern idea of happiness upside down. We're told all the time that the goal is to be comfortable, right? To have a life with no stress. But Frankl says, nope, that's not it. A tensionless state isn't what we really crave. What we actually need deep down is a worthy struggle. It's the striving, the effort, the reaching for a goal that matters to us. That's what fills a life with purpose, not just sitting back with no problem. And listen, this doesn't mean you have to go out and save the world tomorrow. It's not about some huge, epic mission. Resilience is built one small step at a time. It's like laying bricks. Every small, purposeful action you take that lines up with your values, that gives you a real, tangible feeling of progress, of being in control. That's how meaning stops being just a concept and starts being something you can actually feel in your bones. So let's pull all these threads together. We've talked about these three big, powerful ideas. Now, let's turn them into a clear, super practical framework you can use to build meaning in your own life. It really boils down to 3 steps. Step 1 is the foundation. Remember that you always have the freedom to choose your attitude. That's your power. Step 2 is the catalyst. Use that power to reframe challenges. See them not as roadblocks, but as opportunities to grow. And finally, step 3 is the proof. You have to take action. Take those purposeful steps, no matter how small, that make your meaning real. See? It's not about waiting for meaning to show up. It's about actively creating it every single day. So, I want to leave you with one final question to think about. We've walked through Frankl's incredible framework, but at the end of the day, building resilience is a deeply personal journey. So just take a second and ask yourself, what things, big or small, have actually worked for you? What have you done in your life that's given you a sense of meaning and strength? Because whatever that answer is, that's the start of your own personal guide. Thanks for joining me.